10 rappers, then versus now. The shocking changes. Fans never... What happens when hip-hop legends who once dominated the charts, the streets, and the spotlight begin to face the harsh reality of time? Some of the most powerful voices in rap didn't just age. They battled addiction, illness, prison, and personal demons that changed them forever. In today's episode on Legends of Black Fame, we're looking at 10 rappers whose transformations shocked fans the most. Their stories are powerful, tragic, and sometimes inspiring. Watch until the end. You might be surprised which legend changed the most. DMX. When discussing rappers whose appearance and lives changed dramatically over time, few stories are as powerful or as tragic as that of DMX. Born Earl Simmons in 1970, DMX grew up in Yonkers, New York, facing a childhood marked by poverty, violence, and instability. Those painful experiences didn't just shape his life, they became the raw, emotional fuel behind his music. When he burst onto the national stage in 1998, hip-hop audiences immediately recognized something different about him. His debut album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, driven by the explosive anthem Rough Riders Anthem. Remarkably, that same year he released a second album, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, which also debuted at #1, making him the first rapper in history to release 2 #1 albums in the same calendar year. Back then, DMX looked unstoppable. Muscular, intense, and electrifying on stage, he delivered performances filled with emotion, aggression, and spiritual reflection. His signature barking delivery and heartfelt prayers made him one of the most authentic voices in hip-hop. But behind that powerful image was a struggle that had started long before fame arrived. DMX later revealed that when he was 14 years old, a trusted mentor introduced him to crack cocaine unknowingly, starting an addiction that would follow him for decades. As the years passed, the toll became impossible to ignore. Legal troubles, repeated prison sentences, and battles with substance abuse slowly changed his appearance. The once powerful performer began to look thinner, more exhausted, and worn by years of personal conflict. Still, many fans remained loyal because DMX never hid his pain. His music openly wrestled with faith, guilt, and redemption. Tragically, on April 9, 2021, DMX died at age 50 after suffering a heart attack triggered by a drug overdose. His story perfectly reflects the reality behind the title Rappers Who Have Aged Terribly Then and Now. DMX's life reminds us that authenticity, the very quality that made him legendary, sometimes comes with a heartbreaking cost. Old Dirty Bastard. Among the most unpredictable figures ever to emerge from hip-hop, Old Dirty Bastard stood in a category entirely his own. Born Russell Tyrone Jones in 1968, he rose to prominence as a founding member of Wu-Tang Clan, the legendary collective that exploded onto the scene with the groundbreaking 1993 album Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. While each member of the group possessed a distinctive style, ODB quickly became the most unpredictable presence. His voice could jump from singing to shouting to rapping within a single verse, creating a sound that felt chaotic but strangely magnetic. At the height of Wu-Tang's early fame, ODB's energy seemed limitless. In 1995, he released his solo debut, Return to the 36 Chambers, the Dirty Version, an album that perfectly captured his eccentric personality. Tracks like Shimmy Shimmy Ya and Brooklyn Zoo turned him into a cult icon. With wild interviews, unfiltered humor, and spontaneous behavior, he embodied hip-hop rebellion in its purest. To many fans, he represented complete artistic freedom, someone unconcerned with industry rules or expectations. Yet that same unpredictability often spilled beyond the recording studio. Throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s, Jones frequently made headlines for legal troubles, arrests, and substance misuse. Periods of incarceration interrupted his career, while the pressures of fame and personal struggles gradually began to wear him down. The energetic figure who once bounced across stages started to appear drained and physically weakened during his later public appearances. Despite the turbulence surrounding his life, ODB continued trying to rebuild his career. In November 2004, while working on new music in a New York recording studio, tragedy struck. Just 2 days before his 36th birthday, he collapsed suddenly. Medical reports later confirmed the cause as an accidental overdose involving cocaine and the prescription drug tramadol. He was 35 years old. Looking back, Old Dirty Bastard's journey perfectly reflects the fragile boundary between brilliance and personal chaos. His fearless originality helped shape the identity of Wu-Tang Clan and influenced generations of artists. Yet his life also stands as a sobering reminder: extraordinary creativity can flourish in wild places, but without balance, that same energy can become dangerously destructive. Coolio. In the mid-1990s, few voices in hip-hop resonated across the world quite like Coolio. Born Artis Leon Ivy Jr. in 1963, he emerged from Compton, California during a period when West Coast rap dominated the cultural conversation. Yet Coolio stood apart from many of his contemporaries. Instead of focusing only on bravado, his lyrics often explored deeper social realities: urban violence, economic struggle, and the harsh cycles of poverty affecting many American communities. His defining moment arrived in 1995 with the release of the song Gangsta's Paradise. Built around a haunting sample from Stevie Wonder's track Pastime Paradise, the record became an international phenomenon. Featured prominently in the film Dangerous Minds, the single climbed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and remained there for 3 consecutive weeks. The song ultimately sold millions of copies worldwide and earned Coolio the 1996 Grammy Award for Best Rap Solo Performance. With his instantly recognizable braided hairstyle and reflective storytelling, he became one of the most recognizable figures in hip-hop at the time. During those peak years, Coolio projected confidence and creative individuality. However, as the music landscape evolved in the 2000s, the commercial momentum that once surrounded him began to slow. Although he remained active through touring, television appearances, and international performances, observers gradually noticed the effects of time and difficult lifestyle choices. His once distinctive hair appeared thinner, and his overall look suggested the toll that years of pressure and substance use had taken. Despite these challenges, Coolio continued connecting with audiences who still celebrated the cultural impact of his most famous record. Then tragedy arrived unexpectedly. On September 28, 2022, he was found. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner later determined that his death resulted from exposure to fentanyl, heroin, and methamphetamine. He was 59 years old. Today, Coolio's legacy carries a powerful contrast. Gangsta's Paradise remains one of the most enduring hip-hop songs ever recorded, played across generations and continents. Yet his life story also highlights a sobering truth. While a classic song can achieve timeless status, the personal struggles behind the spotlight can quietly isolate even the most recognizable voices in music. Shock G. Few artists in hip-hop blended humor, musicianship, and imagination quite like Shock G. Born Gregory Edward Jacobs in 1963, he became the creative engine behind the influential group Digital Underground. When the group broke into the mainstream around 1990, they introduced something refreshingly different to the rap landscape. At a time when many artists focused on aggression and street narratives, Shock G infused his music with funk satire and playful storytelling. His most famous creation was the outrageous alter ego Humpty Hump, a character recognized by a fake nose, oversized glasses, and flamboyant outfits. Through this persona, Shock G delivered the unforgettable hit, The Humpty Dance, which climbed to number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the most recognizable hip-hop songs of the early 1990s. Behind the comedy, however, Jacobs was also a serious musician and producer who shaped the group's signature sound. Perhaps one of his most important contributions to hip-hop history came when he helped introduce a young Tupac Shakur to the world. Tupac initially joined Digital Underground as a roadie and backup dancer before appearing on the group's 1991 track, Same Song. That early opportunity became one of the first stepping stones in Tupac's rise to global fame. During the group's peak years, Shock G appeared vibrant, witty, and endlessly inventive. Yet, as the music industry evolved and Digital Underground's commercial spotlight faded, personal struggles gradually surfaced. Friends and fans who encountered him later in life noticed that the energetic performer from the Humpty Hump era seemed increasingly worn down. Years of substance misuse quietly eroded the vitality that once defined his stage presence. Tragically, on April 22, 2021, Shock G was medical examiners later confirmed that the cause was an accidental overdose involving fentanyl, methamphetamine, and alcohol. He was 57 years old. Looking back, Shock G's legacy carries both joy and sorrow. His creativity proved that hip-hop could be playful, theatrical, and musically rich. Yet his life also reminds us that laughter and artistic brilliance can sometimes conceal deep personal struggles that if left unchecked can ultimately take everything. Beanie Sigel. The rise and transformation of Beanie Sigel tells one of the most striking stories in hip-hop's then and now narrative. Born Dwight Grant in 1974 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Sigel emerged at the turn of the millennium as one of the most respected voices on Rockefeller Records, the powerhouse label founded by Jay-Z, Damon Dash, and Kareem Burke. When Sigel stepped onto the scene around 2000, his presence immediately stood out. His voice carried weight, authority, and a sense of lived experience that many listeners found impossible to ignore. His debut album, The Truth 2000, debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200, signaling the arrival of a powerful new storyteller in East Coast rap. Follow-up projects like The Reason 2001 and The Bee. Coming 2005 strengthened his reputation for raw, reflective lyricism. Tracks such as Feel It in the Air revealed a depth rarely heard in street rap, combining toughness with vulnerability. At his peak, Sigel looked imposing and confident, a figure who seemed built for the harsh realities he described in his music. But outside the studio, serious legal problems repeatedly disrupted his momentum. Throughout the 2000s, Grant faced multiple convictions and served several prison sentences, including federal time related to weapons charges and tax issues. Each incarceration slowed his career and distanced him from the industry during years when his influence might have grown even further. The most devastating moment came in December 2014, when Sigel was shot during a robbery attempt near his home in Pleasantville, New Jersey. The bullet struck his abdomen, causing catastrophic internal damage. Doctors were forced to remove one of his lungs in order to save his life. For an artist known for a booming delivery, losing a lung permanently altered his breathing capacity and weakened the voice that once defined his recordings. In later appearances, fans were struck by how fragile he seemed compared with the commanding rapper from the early Rockefeller era. Beanie Sigel's story underscores a powerful truth. Violence and legal turmoil can reshape even the strongest artists, turning a symbol of strength into a reminder of life's sudden vulnerability. Trick Daddy. The story of Trick Daddy reveals how time and illness can reshape even the toughest figures in hip-hop. Born Maurice Samuel Young in 1974, he grew up in Liberty City, Miami, one of the city's most challenging neighborhoods. His music carried the raw voice of that environment, direct, unapologetic, and deeply connected to the realities of street life. When he began gaining national attention in the late 1990s, Trick Daddy quickly became one of the most recognizable representatives of Miami's rap scene. His breakthrough came with the 1998 album, which introduced a wider audience to his gritty delivery and storytelling style. In the years that followed, he solidified his reputation with successful projects such as Book of Thugs, Chapter AK, verse 47, 2000 and Thugs Are Us, 2001. Songs like I'm a Thug and the energetic collaboration. Let's Go helped. At his peak, Trick Daddy looked confident and resilient, an artist who proudly represented his hometown while speaking honestly about hardship. However, behind that tough image was a serious medical condition that had been affecting him for years. Trick Daddy was diagnosed with lupus in 1998, an autoimmune disease in which the body's immune system attacks its own healthy tissues. The condition can affect the skin joints and internal organs. In his case, it led to visible skin discoloration and scarring, especially on his face. For a long period, Trick Daddy chose not to follow certain medical treatments because he disliked their side effects. Over time, that decision allowed the disease to progress, and fans began noticing significant changes in his appearance. The once youthful rapper started to look older than his years with facial marks that reflected the ongoing battle with his illness. Despite these challenges, Trick Daddy has spoken openly about living with lupus in interviews and television appearances. His willingness to discuss the condition has helped raise awareness for millions who face similar health struggles. His journey serves as a powerful reminder: chronic illness does not discriminate. Even hometown heroes must confront the realities of health resilience and the importance of seeking proper Flav. Few personalities in hip-hop history have been as instantly recognizable as Flavor Flav. Born William Jonathan Drayton Jr. in 1959, he rose to fame in the late 1980s as the electrifying hype man for the groundbreaking rap group Public Enemy. While frontman Chuck D delivered powerful political commentary, Flavor Flav brought a completely different energy: chaotic, humorous, and wildly eccentric. With his oversized clock necklaces, animated ad-libs, and unpredictable stage antics, he became one of the most memorable figures in hip-hop's early golden era. During Public Enemy's peak years, the group released influential albums such as It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, 1988, and Fear of a Black Planet, 1990, records that reshaped politically conscious rap and influenced generations of artists. At that time, Flav appeared unstoppable, jumping across stages with boundless enthusiasm, delivering hype lines that energized crowds around the world. His personality helped transform Public Enemy's performances into explosive cultural events. Yet behind that playful persona was a darker reality. Over time, Flavor Flav became trapped in a severe addiction to crack cocaine. In later interviews, he revealed that during the worst period of his dependency, he was spending about $2,600 per day on drugs. The financial consequences were devastating, draining millions of dollars and creating serious personal turmoil. The lifestyle also began to affect his health and appearance. As the years passed, the once hyperactive performer looked visibly older and worn down by the toll of addiction. By the early 2000s, Flav's public image shifted when he appeared on the VH1 reality series Flavor of Love 2006 to 2008. The show introduced him to a new generation of viewers, but it also reminded longtime fans how far his life had drifted from his revolutionary hip-hop roots. In recent years, Flavor Flav has spoken openly about sobriety and personal recovery. Although the marks of his turbulent past remain visible, he now represents something deeper than just hip-hop nostalgia. His story illustrates how even the most joyful, energetic personalities can be consumed by addiction, but also how late-life redemption and sobriety can offer a second chance at rebuilding one's life. Storch. At the height of hip-hop's commercial explosion in the early 2000s, few producers held as much influence as Storch. Born Scott Spencer Storch in 1973, he first gained recognition in the 1990s as a talented keyboardist working with the legendary hip-hop band The Roots. But his true breakthrough came when he stepped fully into production, developing a signature sound built around dramatic piano melodies layered over hard-hitting drum patterns. That distinctive style quickly became one of the defining sounds of early 2000s hip-hop. Storch's resume soon filled with massive hits. He contributed to Still DRE by Dr. Dre, whose iconic piano riff remains instantly recognizable today. In the following years, he produced chart-dominating tracks like Lean Back Candy Shop and Run It. By the mid-2000s, his influence stretched across hip-hop, pop, and R&B, making him one of the most sought-after producers in the music industry. Financially, the success was staggering. At one point, Storch's net worth was reportedly around $70 million, and his lifestyle reflected it. Luxury yachts, exotic cars, mansions, and non-stop parties. However, the same wealth that fueled his glamorous life also enabled a destructive habit. Storch later admitted that his addiction to cocaine spiraled out of control during this period. The consequences were swift and devastating. According to his own accounts, he spent roughly $30 million within about 6 months, draining enormous sums of money while missing studio sessions and damaging professional relationships. The once unstoppable producer began disappearing from the charts as his career stalled. By 2015, the financial collapse became official when Storch filed for bankruptcy, reporting that he had only a few $1,000s in assets remaining. Fans who remembered the sharply dressed producer from his peak years were stunned by how dramatically his appearance had changed. The confident hitmaker of the early 2000s now looked noticeably older and worn down by years of excess and addiction. Scott Storch's story stands as one of the most dramatic cautionary tales in modern music. It illustrates a harsh truth: financial success and creative influence can vanish quickly when addiction takes control. From multi-million-dollar triumph to public collapse, his journey remains a powerful reminder of how fragile even Mystikal. During the late 1990s, few Southern rappers delivered raw intensity quite like Mystikal. Born Michael Lawrence Tyler in 1970, in New Orleans, Louisiana, he became one of the standout artists associated with the influential label No Limit Records, founded by Master P. At a time when Southern hip-hop was rapidly rising in popularity, Mystikal's voice cut through the noise with a sound that was impossible to ignore. An aggressive delivery, explosive energy, and a raspy tone that gave his performances a uniquely commanding presence. His national breakthrough arrived with the 1997 album Unpredictable, which reached number 3 on the Billboard 200 and helped establish him as one of No Limit's most powerful voices. Over the next several years, Mystikal built a reputation for high-octane tracks and unforgettable hooks. That momentum peaked with his 2000 album Let's Get Ready, which debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and later achieved platinum certification from the Recording Industry Association of America. The hit single Shake Ya Ass became one of the era's most recognizable club anthems, solidifying his place among the leading voices of Southern rap. At the height of his career, Mystikal was known for explosive performances and a larger-than-life presence on stage. However, his trajectory changed dramatically due to serious legal troubles. In 2003, Tyler was convicted on criminal charges and received a 6-year prison sentence, forcing him away from the music industry during a critical period of his career. By the time he was released in 2010, the rap landscape had changed significantly, and rebuilding momentum proved difficult. The challenges did not end there. In the years that followed, additional legal problems surfaced, including cases between 2017 and 2022, once again placing his career and public image under intense scrutiny. Meanwhile, fans noticed that the once hyper-energetic performer appeared physically heavier and more worn compared with his peak years in the late 1990s. Mystikal's story reflects a sobering reality within the entertainment world. Extraordinary talent can propel an artist to remarkable heights, but ongoing legal issues can interrupt momentum, reshape public perception, and permanently alter a career that once seemed destined for lasting dominance. Boosie Badazz. The life of Boosie Badazz. Born Torrance Ivy Hatch Jr. in 1982, reflects both the resilience and the heavy toll that hardship can leave on an artist over time. Raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Boosie emerged in the early 2000s as one of the most authentic voices from the Southern rap scene. His music captured the realities of poverty, violence, and survival in his hometown, delivered through a raw storytelling style that resonated deeply with fans who recognized the struggles he described. Boosie first gained broader attention through his association with Webby and the label Trill Entertainment. Albums such as Badazz 2006 and Superbad. The return of Boosie Badazz 2009 helped establish him as a major regional star. Tracks like Wipe Me Down became Southern hip-hop anthems, praised for their authenticity and street realism. At his peak, Boosie projected youthful intensity, an artist whose passion and fearless honesty set him apart from many of his peers. But the years that followed tested his strength in ways few could imagine. Boosie has lived with type 1 diabetes since the age of 19, a serious autoimmune condition that requires constant medical management. The illness alone can place enormous strain on the body. Yet even while managing that chronic disease, his life became further complicated by legal issues that resulted in several periods of incarceration, including a highly publicized prison sentence during the early 2000s and 10s. Then, in 2015, Boosie faced another life-altering challenge when doctors diagnosed him with kidney cancer. The diagnosis shocked fans, but he underwent surgery to remove the tumor and later confirmed that he was cancer-free. Despite surviving the disease, the combined stress of health battles, legal struggles, and years in the public spotlight visibly changed his appearance. The energetic rapper from his early Baton Rouge days now often appears noticeably thinner and more fatigued. Yet Boosie's story is not simply one of decline, it is also one of endurance. Through illness, prison, and personal setbacks, he has continued to record music and speak openly about his experiences. His journey serves as a reminder that resilience can carry a person through extraordinary adversity, even if those battles leave permanent marks along the way. Stories like these remind us that fame, talent, and influence don't always guarantee an easy path through life. On Legends of Black Fame, we've seen how artists who once dominated stages, charts, and culture eventually faced illness, addiction, legal battles, or the harsh passage of time. Some rebuilt their lives, others never had that chance. But it raises a powerful question. Did success accelerate their struggles or simply expose them? And if the industry celebrates the rise, should it also take responsibility for the fall? We want to hear from you. Which story affected you the most, and why?